That's a good question. Anyone know the answer?
It's just, it is just a historic number. And we can change it if we want to, yes.
Absolutely, and it reduces the carbon footprint automatically. The more you can extend it, so if you can double that, it automatically halves your carbon footprint. I'm sure it's not quite as easy as that, but yeah, it is technically, and that's why in the case of brick, we do put that case forward. We expect that product to last a lot longer than 60 years.
No one does that at the moment, but that is being planned for the future. There is a returns policy for certain aspects of the products, but there isn't a returns policy for end-of-life products as yet, and no one in our industry is doing that as yet. There is something that we're actively looking at as part of our longer-term strategy.
But we are looking at, so we have brick cladding systems and we are overcladding buildings. So again, we're looking at how we can reduce carbon output by not demolishing a building, and people are coming to us and asking how we can overclad with a natural clay product. So we're collecting, or universities are collecting data on that. So it's not predominantly us, but we are focusing and talking to universities about the studies that they're doing on that, and those are studies that are happening now. So there was one that was done, I think it may have been Bristol University, where they'd taken a building up in Scotland it was, and they were going to demolish it, but they worked out that if they reclad it with a brick cladding system, it actually saved 77% in carbon output. So I have actually got the figures, but and it's those studies that are coming from the university, so we're relying on those at the minute. Like you say, it is within our strategy.
But it's a really contentious issue, isn't it? Because, I mean, RIBA is kicking off at the moment, and quite rightly so, about Oxford Street, the M&S building. It's in every national newspaper. What do we do with the high street? What do you do with buildings? How do you make use of what you have? And you need innovative products with good sustainability characteristics to make good purpose out of existing. So it's another thing. That's why you're innovating in the way that they are. I mean, they've got an entire division that looks at this, haven't you?
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, in terms of that, I think you may find that the lime could be the higher carbon, embodied carbon, as opposed to the cement piece. But what we've got to keep in mind, and this is every industry, that we're all on the same journey of net zero. There's legislation in the UK that businesses will be net zero by 2050. So if we all work together, because we know that the cement industry is working on net zero using carbon capture and other low carbon materials, we're all doing the same thing. And if we don't collaborate with each other, we'll end up just making a mess of it and just not getting the job done right. Yeah.
But the lime, I think you need to report, so again, there is more frequent usage of lime, so again, there will be, that extra carbon that you will be putting elsewhere, not in the brick, but in the mortar itself, because it will need to be reported more frequently, so it's the maintenance,
So really we come back around to then, I suppose, making the buildings last longer just generally.
Yeah.
That's conditioning that through planning that they can't be put down in 20 years.
And it's just understanding it could have a higher carbon footprint at the outset, but it's over that 150, 200, 300 years.
I think the figures are it's repointed about every 75 years. It will need repointing, so it's still quite extensive. Yeah. Yeah, so it is quite extensive. 75 years, it's our lifetime before it would need repointing. So there is a movement towards use. There was a reason why we moved towards more sort of cement-based mortars. Yeah, I think we do acknowledge that taking brick and making it into hardcore is not the right thing to do in terms of true circular economy anymore. So there are strategies that we are looking at. I mean, we do have brick slip cladding systems that can be taken down and reused as well. So there are strategies in place, but we can't get away from the fact that our product is mortared in place. And I have actually taken down a building and cleaned off the mortar, and it's not great. It's not the best job in the world, but it can be done, and those bricks were reused for another project. So it can be done, but we do need to think more closely about the strategies to make that an easier process in the future. But I don't think we're the only industry that needs to look at how we bring buildings back out and reuse them in other projects or other buildings.
Yeah.
So.
And I think you also mentioned the raw materials there as well, and we're cognizant of the fact that the Brundtland definition says we've got to look after the future generations as well. So we know our clear reserves. So that's why we're looking at making lighter weight products using alternative materials, so that the future generations have the same raw materials that we've got today. And that's a vital part of our strategy.
I was going to say, I think one of the things, I mean, I'm external to Ibstock, but sort of part of the team, but one of the things I think they're really, really good at is they do some blue sky thinking. So they imagine, sit in a room, and they try and work out what things might look like, you know, hence. And it's exactly these sorts of questions that would feed into their product development teams.
Because the reality is, we're a manufacturer. We don't know everything that's happening in the outside world. So we use partners like Content Comms, Joanna Washman. And an example of that is we sat down in 2018, big bits of paper, and mapped out a potential sustainability strategy. And we spent a whole day on it. And within that, at the end of that day, we had a 5-year sustainability strategy ready to go. And that's the sort of thing that we do. We use external expertise to bring that knowledge into our business, into our world, so that we can use the best of the best that's out there.
And I think for anybody else, we were having a chat earlier, and anybody here who's from a different part of a different sector, or in a, might be an equipment supplier, whatever, but that kind of imagineering and blue sky thinking is just vital to resolving issues in the built environment. 39% of global carbon emissions are coming from construction. Something very dramatic has to happen in order to effect change, doesn't it? And all of us in this room will have some element of responsibility to deliver on that, which is why we're here. Yeah. But I think you have to think what if and what could happen. And I think, as I say, a business like Ibstock is to be admired, in my view. And I don't say that because I'm paid by them. I say it with my heart, because they actually put the effort into the bringing that intel back into the product, product development cycles.
Another example, I'll just finish off on that point. But another example is transformational projects, and that could be anything, is the blue sky stuff as well. So we've got a big list of transformational projects, and can we do it now? Can we do it in 5 years? Can we do it in 15 years? So we've built a maturity assessment, and we review that every 6 months and look at all that big list of technologies, and can it be done now, and do we change it to a red, amber or green? So it's always looking at that maturity assessment of the technologies that are there, and that's what our basis is for the net zero strategy as well.
I think lastly, what is great about our company is it's not just our sustainability team that are talking about it. Our sales teams, the design advisory team that I'm from, we all are taking an interest and helping to reduce that impact. So we're talking, we like to listen to other people's perspectives. Just that talking to somebody as a design advisor and having that conversation and going, that's a great idea, I know I can translate that to my project or my product. And that's why we're here, is to talk to as many of you and get your views, opinions, your thoughts on it. And we will listen to what you've got to say and hopefully make a difference on that. Yes, I think what I'd like to say is thank you for coming. Thank you for staying awake and listening to me without falling asleep. And please, if you've got any questions or you want to talk to us all personally, do feel free to come up to us and have a chat. But help yourself to some Prosecco and some pizza. And thank you very much for your time.